So, hi everybody, welcome back. I think this is week 5 of our English conversation course. My name is Jenna, and today's topic is culture and customs. And my guest today is Ruth. Hi, Ruth.
Hi.
So, um, we have lots of questions today related to culture and customs. So, can you tell us what is your native country or culture, and how long have you lived here, and how long have you lived in other places?
Okay, so I am originally from Nigeria and I moved to the US in 2010. So I haven't been to any other countries but the US. So just actually, I've been to Canada. So just Nigeria and the US, and then I visited Canada for a little bit. So yeah, that's my journey.
That's your journey, yeah. So, what are some things that you think are interesting about your native culture? If you could pick a few.
I love our outfits. Our outfits are very, very colorful. And it can be hard wearing those outfits here in the US because people just stop and are like, whoa, are you a princess? But those are standard outfits that we wear at home. It's very festive. We love back home in Nigeria. We love to have a good party. There's always a reason to party and dance and eat and drink. So that's something that I think is really great about our culture. Our culture is one that's very respectful of people, especially of people that are older than you. So we tend to be very respectful of elders, and we're also very community driven. So when they say things like it takes a village to raise a child, that's literally how it works back home. Like everybody is responsible for their neighbor's child. So those are a few fun highlights of our culture.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So sometimes people will talk about America as being something like a melting pot or something like that because of the people who are from so many different cultures in one place. And I think that probably like the Boston area is a place that does have a lot of cultures. Why do you think that people from different cultures might choose to come to this area specifically? And maybe you can tell me, why did you decide to come to this area?
I think one of the reasons that people come from different cultures to Boston in particular is just the amount of schools that we have. There are just so many colleges, so many great colleges, and a lot of immigrants, a lot of people like me, and that's why I came here. We come to the U.S. for grad school or for undergrad
Mhm.
or for postdocs, and you just tend to have a whole lot more opportunity in the Massachusetts area just because there's a whole lot of schools there. So I think that's why it has lended itself to being a really big melting pot. Just the schools just attract people. There's Harvard. Everybody wants to go to Harvard, right? So there's Harvard, there's MIT, and all of the really, really great schools here in Mass.
Do you think that there are many immigrants from your native culture in this area? And why do you think that, if there are?
So yes, I think as compared to Texas, Maryland, and Georgia, we don't have as many Nigerians here in
Hmm.
the Massachusetts area. I think what brings Nigerians to the Massachusetts area is just the whole school thing. Nigerians believe so much in highly educating themselves. So
Mm.
they're a very, very highly educated group of people. You know, that has pros and cons. But so because of that, those are the kind of Nigerians that you tend to meet around here. The doctors that are trying to get into Harvard public health programs, so that could be a jumping board to becoming a resident. But I think there's a whole lot more. There are streets in Texas that are literally Nigerian streets. Like they shut down the streets for block parties, Nigerian block parties, and I think that we tend to have more of those people in Texas, Georgia, just because of the weather.
If you could change one thing about your culture, what do you think it would be? What frustrates you about your culture?
Deep breaths.
Yeah.
I think our culture, because it's so communal, people tend to care so much about what their neighbors think.
Mm,
So, or what their friends think. And so every time, and this is a challenge that I have with my parents, every time you want them to do something, well, what will the neighbors say? Well, what will our friends say? And it's like, who cares what they'll say? This is about you and this is for you. So we find that I find that Nigerians tend to live their lives a lot for what somebody else is going to say about them or their
mhm,
perception in the eyes of others. So they could be unhappy, uncomfortable, but if the perception of others around them is like, oh, this person is doing great, they'll much rather stay in that situation than change it and have everybody be like, oh my goodness, this is such an awful person or an awful situation the person is in.
Are there things that are different about particularly being polite in Nigerian culture versus being rude in Nigerian culture? And did you experience any awkward situations
Oh boy.
when you were doing going between the two?
Yes, I did. So in Nigeria, if you're addressing somebody who's older than you in writing, you start with you address them as sir and ma. So when I came, I would be writing to my professor, and I would say, "Good afternoon, sir. I hope you're doing well, sir." And he's just like, "Oh, no, why? I'm not that old. Can you just drop the sir?" And I'm like, "Okay, Professor Robert." And he's like, "Just call me Rob." And this is somebody that's as old as my grandfather. I'm just so I was like, how do I call you Rob? You're older than my dad. Like it's so hard. So that was actually a big one because in Nigeria, in certain cultures, it's a little different now. But if a person is older than you by just a year or 2 years, you can't call them by their names.
Mhm,
Have to say Auntie Jenna or Uncle, Frank or Uncle Laulu,
mhm,
even if it's your sibling, right? So
mhm.
like Jamie would call you Sister Jenna because you're even if you're like 2 days older, which is not possible, but if you're like 9 months older. And so coming here and you have people that are much older than you and you're calling them by their first names, that was a huge adjustment that I had to make.
Mm.
Another adjustment was looking people in the eye.
Oh.
Back home, you do not look your older people in the eye. It's rude. It is rude, rude, rude.
Oh.
Like you can't have a conversation with someone older than you, and you're like, "Yeah, so what do you think?" You're supposed to be like looking left, right, all around, but then you come here and they're like, "Why are you so? Why are your eyes so shifty? Are you lying?"
Mm.
No, I'm not lying. I just it's just so hard to maintain eye contact because I'm not used to it. And so I started to look people right here. So
And
you
you're
look
like, is it left eye or right eye? Or do I go for the middle? Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. A tip.
So yeah, so that was another cultural adjustment that I had to make. You have to look people in the eye.
Mm.
Otherwise people start to wonder why you're not doing that.
And so then kind of on the American side of things, so what makes you proud to be part of American culture? And what are the things about American culture that you wish you could change?
Okay. So I love, probably because I'm a business person, I love that the American culture is to root for the underdog. I
Mm.
love it. Like people will cheer you on when they see that you're trying to make something better out of your life or your situation. People will rally around you. The government in and of itself, yes, it's not perfect, but they provide a lot of support for people the best way they can to help people achieve that American dream. So it's not just talk. They don't just say, "Oh,
Hmm.
yes, the American dream is alive and well." They actually try to help you
Hmm.
get there, and people around you really rally around to help you. That is a key difference that I see between here and Nigeria. In Nigeria, you might find people, if once you start to get really successful, you have to start getting careful because people are going to be like, wait, why is he successful and why am I not successful? And then they try to start
Hmm.
pulling you down. It's like my friend described it as crabs in a barrel. Nobody can get up because everybody is trying to pull the other person down. But
Mm,
here, everyone, most people, not everyone, but most people are really rooting for you and trying and happy, genuinely happy to see you succeed. So that's something that I really, really love about the American culture. If there's anything I would change, especially in Massachusetts, I think I would I would love if we were a little more I think I'm trying to figure out a good word. Maybe a little more communal. I feel like everybody
mm,
is very well. This is my house. This is my home.
my
You know,
own space, you know.
yeah, space. Thank you. My space. You stay on your side. I stay on mine. Everybody just respect themselves, and it's just I don't know. I love to see a little more community. I think in the Massachusetts area, rather than everybody just being like, well, it's all about me and my family. Just leave me alone.
Mm, yeah.
If that's anything. I think that's something that the South has that I think is really nice. Oh well,
Mm,
on the peripheral at least. Um,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's
that's
part of American culture though too, this like individualism thing, I think of like this belief that, you know, you can do it all yourself or it's better if you do it all yourself and don't work with other people. And yeah, that's something that can frustrate me too sometimes. So, are there any American customs or laws that you really appreciate? And are there any that you find really strange?
believe it or not, I like the Halloween
Mm,
time just because, again, I'll always compare it to how they would feel back home. Back
mm-hmm.
home, it would be like, "What? You're celebrating witches and demons?" And but I love just the excitement of the kids. The kids are so happy to dress up. They could literally dress up any time of the year, but that one time, laws. I do like that women have a voice in this country, and
Mm,
that, if you choose to access it, there are people that will stand up for you and fight for you. Um,
mm,
Back home, there's a lot of suppression of women. Like women are
mm-hmm,
really terribly suppressed. They are the caretakers of the home. They get bitten every day. Well, I shouldn't say all women, but it's a prevalent culture. It's okay
mm-hmm,
to beat up your wife, right? If she was
mm,
naughty, you can beat her up, and that's okay. And there's nobody to report to. You go tell the cops. They're like, yeah, next time you shouldn't do that. You go tell your parent, and we didn't experience this in our household, thank God. But it's very prevalent. You go to tell your parent, and your parent will start grilling you. Okay, what did you do to offend him? Why did you do this?
mm,
Next time, don't do this. It's all on you. And so
mm,
if there's also it's getting a little better, but then there's also this thing of male children and the importance of male children. So if
mm.
you don't have a male child, it's the woman's fault, not the man. Science says it's the man, but no, it's the woman's fault. So there's so much suppression and oppression of women just in the
Mhm,
general culture. But
mhm,
that's not something that we have here because there are laws and they work.
mhm,
Somebody hits you, you can call the cops, right? And
mhm,
there will be repercussions for that.
mhm,
Not that it stops people, but at least there are repercussions, and you have someone you can talk to about that. And I like that. We don't really
mhm.
have that back home, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we're getting close to the end, but I think to maybe end on a more positive note, can you say, so people talk about the American dream, right? And I think that means different things to different people. So for you, what does it mean to have the American dream, or what is your American dream?
The American dream for me is the ability to chase my dreams and to
Hmm.
have support for those dreams, to not be limited by anything really, to be able to have a vision in my mind and to be able to go after that vision and actually make it happen. That is the American dream for me. And me, I have my own business, and so my American dream is to see that business all over the U.S. And I'm really, really blessed to be in a position where I am receiving all the support that I need to actually make that happen. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
exciting.
That's awesome. I think that's a great place to end things. So, thank you so much, Ruth, for having this conversation with me.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome. So, and thank you everybody for watching. And I hope you have great conversations this week about culture and customs. And we will see you next week. Bye.